And hello. Um, Welcome to the RTalk. I'm talking to Reiki people. We are cultivating the art to disagree with each other, agree to disagree, as the English beautifully say. And today I have a very special guest. It is my very wife. So my first RTalk is actually with my wife, Mischa. Hello, Mischa.
Hi, René. And I must say, I kind of know how to disagree with you.
Yes, if anyone knows how to disagree with me, then it's you. And I don't want to make that the topic of our conversation, but I want to tell you a little bit that I'm planning to start something which we are calling the Art Talk. So in a fortnightly interval, I'm planning to release conversations, rawly uncut conversations like you and I are leading right now on the Reiki Conciliation website.
Okay, and what is the purpose of this? Who should listen to us?
Oh, can I postpone that question? I don't know who is going to listen to us,
Okay.
but I can tell you, I've had in context with the conciliation work so many truly exciting conversations, particularly that's what I find most exciting with the young generation, with younger Reiki students who have either reached out to me because they liked or didn't like certain things I did. But of course, I'm constantly also talking to the more senior Reiki people. And then I thought some of these conversations, they might be worthwhile to be shared with others.
Okay, I definitely belong to the more senior ones. See my hair. But in a way, I agree, not in a way, I agree with you that for me too, the young generation is very exciting. It excites me more than the senior group.
Yes, I agree with you. But I think it takes both. It takes us senior guys. And one of the disagreements or one of the discussions you and I have had is that you and I have had such a rich life with Reiki. For the last 30 years, we've been doing nothing else but Reiki. We have been benefiting also in the sense of making it a profession, living from it, having two children. We were able to put them through private schooling, and all we ever did was giving Reiki. And I know that you are very reluctant to get involved with what you often call Reiki politics. And I argue and I say, I think that people, the older generation, such as us, we also owe it to the younger generations and to the Reiki community at large that we contribute on a level beyond that which you like to do most, and that's your personal practice.
Yes, and well, what is Reiki? What is Reiki to me? And to me, Reiki is actually passing it on. And I must say, I'm not very interested in Reiki politics. Reiki to me is like giving something to people. This is my duty. This is what I can do. And the students I teach don't care so much about politics. They care about Reiki and what Reiki does to them. So that is actually my aim, whether they're old or young. That is my aim. When I find in politics, yeah, the love and the beauty of Reiki often gets lost. Lost in talking. Lost in I'm right, you're wrong, I'm better, you're worse. I don't like that.
Well, neither do I like it. And I would like, and this is partly the reason for the art talks, I would like to agree to disagree. Um, you and I, we were in Portugal and we saw how they practiced Reiki there. And we just adored the work they did with the children.
Yes.
And they very much focused on meditative moments there. The 5 precepts are very much in the forefront of their doing. Your and my teachings and our personal practice is somewhat different. We we focus very much more on the self-treatment and on, one might say, the energetic aspect of Reiki. And yet we adored, we acknowledged, we loved, we applauded what they're doing there. And conversely, they're looking at our practice, and I feel nothing but respect, tolerance, and a happy, synergetic coexistence. So I think this is a primary example of agreeing to disagree on details. And this is, I think, why it's important that yes, there is the practice, but we also need to share it and to share our views to create understanding in the global Reiki community amongst each other. And this is why I think it's great if you can have the luxury of saying, I'm out of all of this politicking, I'm just doing my Reiki practice. But I also believe that mature Reiki masters like you and I, we have a responsibility to contribute to this coexistence.
Jein is a beautiful German word. Yes and no. Yes and no. But you're talking about Portugal, and that's exactly what I mean. They may practice it slightly different from ours. However, for me, the sense, the essence, not the sense, the essence of it is the same. It's Reiki. And whether they go more with the 5 principles or the precepts or whatever you call it, more in meditation, that to me is just the outer part of it, not the inner part of it. The essence is still a lot of love, a lot of respect, a lot of altruistic being actually, or behavior, on passing this on, and not too much about politics. Yes, they also have been to the conference also, where science and different things were talked about, and that's very important. I agree with that. However, it's just not my path anymore. I've been long enough president of the Reiki network, very much involved. I was, well, to start off with, coordinator for our teachers. I feel in that field I have done my duty. I just want to go on the path of practicing in the sense of teaching. That is what I love best. And teaching, tell you the truth, my favorite seminars are children's seminars. Because they're so pure. You cannot cheat them either. They're just so pure, and they take it in, and they question, they have questions, but they don't question behind it. You know, they know what they feel and what they have. And then, of course, I really enjoy all levels, but teaching teachers also is a very, very special thing. Going along with them on their path.
Yeah, and clearly, of course, you and I are also somewhat in a privileged positions that as a couple, to some degree, we can share the duties. I think it's a tremendous luxury for anyone who can say, I'm only focusing on my practice, be that as a therapist, a Reiki therapist, or as a Reiki teacher. And I believe that at the beginning of a career in Reiki, if we can call it that, and in our case, it was a career because we did it professionally. So at the beginning of such a career, I think it's very essential that the focus is pure and narrow on the beauty and of the simplicity of the practice of Reiki. Yet, also in line with, I believe, a very important spiritual insight, which I find that a lot of people are making nowadays in the Corona time. And this insight is, on the one hand, I need to isolate myself. And the more I have to undergo this process of lockdown, the more I become aware that we, humanity, actually all over the world, are sitting in the same boat. So the spiritual insight is that we are all part and parcel of the same. We are the separation between people, between you and me and everyone else, is to a great extent illusionary. So I can see my wife is saying, René, you're getting off the red line of our discussion.
No. I'm saying I'm just doing this to tell you, you're just touching many subjects now. And before I lose the start, when we started, yes, I am very privileged. I'm very privileged to be able to say, I don't want to be involved in politics anymore. And I'm very privileged because you are much more involved than I am. But also, I of course realize I can only say that because I've been involved in it. It's the same as I say, some people say, "Oh no, I don't want to work with the computer. I don't want to work with internet." It's a little bit aloof to say that to me, yeah, because it's like we see now. It's a fantastic media, and only if I know how to use it, I can say afterwards, "No, this is not mine." So that's what I mean. I had to be involved, and I was very involved, and it was a good time. I actually enjoyed it. But now I can say I've done it, and I'm very, very aware that I can only do that because you take more part of that. The other part, sorry?
Sorry, you.
And then you talked about Corona, and we are all in the same boat. You see, this was a little bit too much for me to quickly from one subject to the other. So if you go back to Corona, then I can continue.
Okay. I lost my stream of thought in the meantime, of course, because you interrupted me, but that's okay. This, by the way, is a family internal sign when timeout, when we feel stop, I need to talk. Yeah. And actually, for the viewers, an interesting little side bit is we internally in the family, also with the children, always had the right to veto things. Yeah. So if any one of us had to make a decision, let's say I decide we're going, I once took a decision that I'm going to the desert with one of my sons on a very adventurous trip. And my wife vetoed that project. So
No, I just wanted to say I did this. Yes, actually, you reminded me of another thing, René. I'm not only privileged, or we two are not only privileged that we are as a couple doing this full time, but of course also our children are very involved in the sense of they grew up as Reiki, and they know exactly what we are doing and supporting us wonderfully. So I think that's also a big privilege because I know many people from level 1 to Reiki Master Teacher feel very lonely, feel that they don't have anybody to talk to, and unless you practice Reiki, you don't know what you're talking about. So again, I think this media is a very good media to interact, to talk to each other.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad you said this. I think one of the beautiful fruits of our work was that during this Corona time, our financial situation was pretty miserable with not being able to teach and so on. And then out of nowhere, our sons came and said, we're going to pay part of the electricity bill of your own place where you're staying. And I think that was only possible also because that way, one way or the other, they acknowledge and support your and my activity in the Reiki community. What I meant to address, actually, when I was starting to speak about the veto rule we have in the family, this is also true for the RTalks. I'm speaking to somebody, to a partner, whoever this is going to be in the future, and actually some of the topics Mischa just raised, I thought this might be a very interesting RTalk just in itself. But the idea, or one of the rules, is that at the end, when we have spoken for 20-30 minutes, I stop the filming, and then my partner on the other side and I equally, we both have the right to say, yes, we go public with this video, or no, I don't feel comfortable, and there are no explanations needed. And in fact, one of the beauty of the veto in our family was exactly this element.
Exactly that.
None of us needed to explain or justify his veto, which in turn meant that each of us had a tremendously high responsibility to practice, to utilize the veto only when we were truly and utterly convinced. Now I have to say this to something. And this is a rule for these RTalks, which I'd like to introduce with the people I speak to, that at the end of the recording, they have a look at it and they say yes or no, and they don't explain it.
Yes, actually, I practice this veto also when I teach masters. I don't call it like that, the veto, but I trust myself to be quite an open and tolerant person. But when it comes to Reiki and there's something that I really don't agree with, something I don't like, I go, stop, right there. You laugh because when we teach masters, they have to do all their assignments, and we listen to them and we answer them, and they think that, oh, I hope that Mischa listens to mine because as a woman, I'm sure she's much softer than René would be. Mistake number one, but only good ones.
Well, for those who have worked so intensively with the two of us, they know you, Mischa, oftentimes as the woman of no compromise. And in fact, I do remember that your clarity and your straightness and your absolute inner contact with your own inner wisdom. I remember that there was once a huge Reiki Master Conference in Penang in Malaysia where you were not present. And I was actually leading that conference. And we got to a very crucial point, and I remember that you had given me one sentence and one sentence only when I left Switzerland to go to Malaysia to the conference. And you said, I can't remember what the sentence was, and it's not important, but you said a sentence and said, this is my message for the conference. And when the conference got at a crucial moment where actually the whole organization was about to break up, I remembered the sentence that I said, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I have a message from Mischa, which I can pass on to you, quote unquote. And I just regurgitated that one sentence. And it was so clear, and it was so lacking any lukewarm compromise. It was just clear and focused. And it made all the difference of the whole conference. But Mischa, our time is soon up. We have been filming for 20 minutes. I don't want to make this too long. This is the first time we do this. How do you feel? How's it going for you now?
Well, now I'm just a little bit overwhelmed because I remember that situation. When it comes to Reiki, I get very emotional. I also don't remember the sentence. But I know that when I teach and when I'm in the Reiki aura, let's put it that way, I get very, very good inputs. And I sometimes say, who was that? Who told me that? It guides me, Reiki guides me. And I say things that are beyond my own wisdom. I feel good.
Very nice. Thank you. Also, it's a great example. I truly believe that the essence is in the doing, is in the self-treating, is in the treating other people. That's what it is all about. And all the other stuff in organizations and in Reiki styles and so on are trimmings. However, I also believe that these trimmings give people orientation, they give them a meaning, they give them a purpose, and as such, they have a right to exist. And we agree, both, I think, that both sides of the Reiki world are important. And I think we can also disagree in the sense of you have put your emphasis and your focus on one thing, and I have been doing it with things like the RTalk on a more organizational or institutional application of Reiki. So I hope that we are somewhat embodying the example of agreeing to disagree. And for me, I would like to close it here, but not without giving you the opportunity to have the last word, as usual.
Okay. As usual, I agree to disagree. No, I seriously, I think this is quite exciting. At the beginning, I really thought, and for the audience now, until 5 minutes before we recorded this, I didn't know what René was doing. Okay, so at the beginning, I really thought, is this necessary? Another project? I think it's exciting. I wish you a lot of good luck. Namaste to all.